Hi there. This video I actually recorded quite some time ago, maybe 3 years ago. I started off with the idea of creating some backgrounds for a project that I had in mind for some work for an exhibition. I wanted sort of quite subtle backgrounds that had some pattern there, but not too much. As I was printing these backgrounds, I also had a photo that I wanted to do an image transfer of, so you'll see that as part of the video, and kind of how I create that image transfer, how I put the paint on. I talk you through that process, and then I developed, as I was working, I had an idea to use some cutout shapes that actually my previous video on decollage, I'd taken some of these shapes out, I'd saved the shapes, so I thought I wanted to try and print with those shapes, and you see me creating a couple of prints from those. So there's quite a lot to watch. There are parts of the video where I explain what I'm doing. There are parts where I'm just printing, a bit of ASMR. And I've decided that I'm not going to speed up the video, so you can just enjoy a real-time printing session where the ideas develop as I go. So there are times in the video where I'm talking and maybe I'm a little bit mumbling, or the audio isn't quite so clear. And there are also a couple of times where I mention something and it's incorrect. So for example, I say a paint colour and it was the wrong colour. So I've popped up, in those occasions, I've popped up on screen some text that will kind of explain those as I go along. Please also excuse any huffing and puffing in the video, in the sound on the video, because I had a little bit of a cold when I was recording this session. I hope you enjoy it. I haven't sped up the video at all. It's just real-time printing session. Thanks for watching. So what I'm trying to do here is just build up some backgrounds for some printing and or collage on some old pieces of paper that I was experimenting on years ago. And I've got different types of paper. I've got lots and lots of different yellow paints. And we're just gonna go for it, see what happens. starting to pick up some bits that were on the plate now, which is quite nice because that'll add some variation. I like that colour as well. So let's try light Naples yellow. I'm also using stencils to help create a bit of variation and pattern. I don't know how many of these will show through at the end, but can't really see me off over the side here, but I'm just cleaning my stencil off with some bits of scrap paper. picking up a bit more of that paint from the middle of the stencil. Add some tissue. I might have to stop for a while because I think the paint is still wet on some of these pieces. Just leave it there while I clean off the stencil. So this one I didn't put a stencil down because there was already some stencil marks on the plate. I don't know if you can see that, it's very subtle. Plate's nice and grungy. So I'm going to do one more with this transparent paint and probably just not put a stencil down. Of course, it mixes with the paint that's already on the roller. I think that's going to be it for this session, so I'm cleaning off my brayer over here on some extra sheet. So what colours haven't I used? I used a bit of yellow ochre at the beginning, some azo lemon yellow, some cadmium yellow. I used primary yellow. I used this craft acrylic paint called Sunlight. Used some Naples yellow and some nickel azo yellow. I didn't use these really cheap acrylic paints, although cheap acrylic paints work well on the plate. This is medium yellow and lemon yellow, and I didn't use my golden benzimidazolone yellow yet. Let's pull this up and see what we've got. And It's toned down the pattern that I did have on there. Got some paint transfer, some green there. Right, that's quite nice. Like that. It didn't want too much of a pattern, but when you look closely you can see that there is a pattern there. Try and get it. Probably difficult to see. I'll take some photos. Just another quick one. I've put down some of the Azo lemon yellow, and I've put a piece of paper down, and I'm just gonna leave it until it dries and then pull up with a print and see what we've got. Have a sneaky peek now. Actually, it's pulling it nicely. No, it's still a bit stuck there, so yeah, we'll leave that for a bit. I'm going to try pulling this up now, see what we get. It's pulled up all that from there. Got the variation in the yellow that was left over on the plate, and some more of the paint that was left on the plate. And I have a clean plate. The marks you can see are from the bottom of the gel plate. I'll probably use that maybe as some sort of collage paper at some point. I've just left these to dry for a little while, so they feel dry now. And I just want to knock back some of the texture to make it not stand out so much. A bit like this one here, where you can kind of see some vague patterns underneath, but it's not obvious. And at the moment I think this one's probably my favourite because you can see some diamond patterns, but again they're very, very subtle. So I think I want to lighten this one up. So, in fact, probably both of them. So I'm probably going to use the Nickel Azo Yellow, which on its own is acid yellow bright. But I think over the top of that we'll just brighten it up a little bit. Let's try it and see what happens. I don't bother too much about lining it up exactly because these at the end will be pieces that are 5 inches by 5 inches square, and my gel plate is 6 inches by 6 inches. So, all right, let's have a look at this then. I might need to do another layer on that, but it's definitely not quite as patterned and contrasting as it was. There's still quite a lot of dark. I think this must be the one that I used the yellow ochre on. There's still quite a lot of dark showing through, so I might do another layer of that. But it has lightened the colour up to a beautiful mid-tone yellow, which is what I wanted. I'm going to do the same on the other one with the Nicolazo yellow. Sorry, the Azo lemon yellow, Nicolazo yellow. I think this one will work better because the pattern's already not quite so obvious. I'm not really sure what paper I'm using either. You know, this is the one that I've experimented on the back of before. It's probably some sort of watercolour paper. It's quite thick and sturdy. Yep, really happy with that one. Could definitely still see the pattern underneath, but it's lightened up, brightened the colour, and it's not really glaringly obvious. So I'm going to enjoy working on that one. I am going to pick up the yellow now, I think, if I can. Clean the brayer. Just round this off. Might have been too dry to pick much up. Let's have a look. I've picked up some. Let's I want to do an image transfer on here next, so I could do without the yellow being on plate. So I think I will probably put this down because it's slightly more liquidy, and put another piece of paper down and leave it to dry on the plate. This book that I'm rolling my brayer on is my old school computer studies book. And this one is the last page in my in our cupboard from IKEA. We got several of these instruction booklets. We didn't need to keep them all, so I just use the pages to roll my brayer off to make some interesting collage papers. Nice dark ones there. I might pull that out actually and use that something I have in mind. Okay, so that can go dry. I wonder how this is doing. Well, it looks like we've got most of it, so that will do. More collage paper. That's the thing with gel printing. You get tons and tons of collage paper. Right, let's have a look. How have I got two? Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's good. Lots to play with. So this is a laser printer copy of a photograph that I took of some manhole drain cover thing in our village, and I just popped it into a piece of software, and I made it into black and white image, which is important for image transfer because you need a high contrast image. And what will happen when I try and transfer this, hopefully, is that the black ink, laser printing ink on the paper will resist the paint and leave it on the plate, whereas the white paper will suck up the paint. You have to be very quick, and I'll get some of the, hopefully some of these triangle shapes. So I want, which bits do I want? So probably there. Just kind of marking the corner. Let's mark the bottom corner as well, so I can try and get it lined up properly when I do my transfer. So something like that. It doesn't really matter too much. I'm not looking for perfection, but I do want as many of the, I do want to get these dark triangles as much as possible. So for this, I'm going to turn the camera off, get my stuff together, and then put it back on again. Okay, so for the transfer, I'm going to use Amsterdam Oxide Black. Carbon, it's the same as Carbon Black, I think. The pigment BK11. And then I'm going to add a couple of drops of my Carbon Black acrylic ink, my Liquitex ink, because I found that a slightly more fluid paint helps with the transfer. So I'm starting off with about that much paint and just put a couple of drops of the ink down. And I'm going to start rolling it out. And we'll see as I roll it out whether it's too much. It's definitely not too little. Okay. Perhaps slightly too much, so I'm going to... And if you keep rolling, it will dry as you roll. And if you listen to your brayer, starting to get that kind of tacky sound like you get with lino printing, and that's kind of what you want for the transfer. So this shouldn't be a super thin layer, it should be a decent layer. Right, I think I've got too much of this. I didn't quite place that where I wanted it, but it doesn't really matter. So very gentle, making sure it's all stuck to the plate. I'm going to rub a little bit more. You can see I've got some of these triangles very nicely over here. Oh yes, over there is good. Right, so happy with that. Just picked up some yellow paint and hopefully I'm going to be able to transfer this directly onto my yellow. One of the ones that was already dry from earlier, yellow background. Pull it up. Because the layer of the paint was reasonably thick, the paint should still be fairly wet, so I should be able to pick it up. And I think what I'm going to do is just leave this on now to dry. So give it at least a few minutes to dry. And that's the image that I was using. I've still got quite a lot of paint on my brayer. Probably will roll it off to clean because I don't know if I'll get a chance to use it. You can see how much there was by and it's pulling up yellow paint off the edge of the brayer as well when I do my lines. Just to make sure I'll use this piece of paper as well. Alright, come back in a bit and show you what this looks like. Okay, so let's have a look. It's now been about 4 or 5 minutes, so it should be good to pull up. And there's my transfer over top of one of the yellow backgrounds. And I'm actually really pleased with how that's turned out. That's amazing. Brilliant. I think on some of the others I want the triangles to maybe be a bit bigger, so I might have to blow the image up a bit more, focusing on maybe this area over here. I do like these kind of arrow where the light, well, these are the shadows of the triangles on this side. The light was coming this way. Yeah, happy with that, really happy. I've had another idea of something I want to do, so I'm going to do that now. So the idea I've had is, when I was making this painting, I cut out these squares, diamond shapes from the board, and I stuck some of them back over the top, but I kept some of them here. So I'm going to put some more black paint on here and make a design. So these then will be printed black, and I might also get a pattern that I'll pull up on one of the pieces of paper I've printed, probably one of the scrap pieces, because I think there'll be too much black for some of the other designs that I have in mind. I think I'm just going to put the Amsterdam down for this. I'm probably going to get really messy as well. Might need to order some more of this soon. Okay, let's see how it goes. Don't really have an idea for this design at all, just picking up a piece and putting it down where it seems like a good idea. Already covered in paint, as you do. Let's try this one up here. I think I need to press them down, so I'm going to use this sheet. But before I get too much on my hands, get the edges with this one. Too late. So this should now actually give me a nice design on this paper. Oh, I've also got some transfer of the text. That's very interesting. That's not what I was necessarily going for. I quite like that design. That looks quite good. Might be able to use some of this as collage or something. So that's really cool. Let's see if I can get some more. Don't know if it's dried or not. Let's see. Some of it's coming up. What I might be left with afterwards, when I take all the bits off, is some outlines around the edge. So I might print that as well. This is really interesting. I'm definitely going to print this one. I'll show you how I do that in a minute. So I've got two choices now. I can, the paint is too dry, especially if I want to try and pick up some of the image transfer of the writing, of the text on this page, on the print. You can see the lines of the text there. I don't think it's good enough that you can read it, but it will give interesting texture. So if I had tried to put a piece of like yellow background down on this, it wouldn't have picked up much and probably would have ruined what I had. So I'm going to leave it to make sure it's dry. It's probably pretty much dry by now. I can see there's a little bit that's not dry in there, but most of it looks pretty dry. And test on some of the kind of dirty bits around the edge. If I want to, I can clean this bit up, which I might do, and this bit down here, and this spot over there and here. Yeah, I'll do that with just some masking tape. You can see it pulls the paint off quite nicely, and because it's tape, it's quite controllable. You can put it exactly where you want it and pick up the bits that you want. So pick up this bit over here. When I turn it over, I'm looking for where the sticky bits still are. Okay, quite like that. I might just see if I can pull up a bit more over here. trying to make that line less obvious. There we go. Right, so that's probably dry now. So the options are use some matte medium and pull it up onto a pre-printed yellow background, or to put some yellow paint down on here and pick it up onto a new sheet of paper. And I can't decide what to do, so I'm going to turn the camera off while I think about it. Okay, so what I've decided is that I'm going to use another piece of paper to pull it up on, and I'm going to mix up my primary yellow with cadmium yellow on the plate. So we shall put a splodge there. And that one. And get a bit of mixing in this space. So let's see what we get, and I'm going to put this down, really press it down, and then I'm going to leave it to fully dry so I get all that black off the plate. The yellow paint, the wet paint, pulls up all the dry paint from the plate. And if I'm careful, we can flip it over and we can have a look what it might look like through all the bits of dirty paint on the back of my plate. So that's exciting. Let's just clean this, and I'll be back later to show you the reveal, show you how it went. Just cleaning off my brayer. Okay, I think I'm going to try and reveal it now and hope that it's worked. Okay, I would say that's worked pretty well. Wow, paint is still wet there, yellow, which has obviously gone down a bit down the side of the plate. And I'm very happy with that one.